are Anguera and Ramon Bobet, and today in our seminar we will discuss about the subject novel in English. So Ramon, what do you know about the subject?
Well, I remember I did this subject a couple of years ago, and what I remember the teacher was Isabel Santaolaria, Isabel Santaolaria, and well, we also focused on these novels, their sociological and economical and political perspective, and also we focused on well the formal aspects on the novel, like for example, well the plot, the characters, and these general things.
Yeah, I remember too that well, I did the subject this past year, and I remember that we dealt about the characters, we analyzed in depth all the novels, and I remember when we dealt about characters, we focused on the round and plain characters, yes, and also in the historical background of the novels and the lives and all the movements that happen in every novel.
Yeah, linking all this with the life of the author.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes all the novels are related with the life of the author. Yeah, and for example, we analyzed the novel of Great Gatsby, you remember, and it deals with the Great Depression and in the Roaring Twenties. And I remember, well, in fact, we watched the film, and the film was very colorful because it was focused on all the cars, the clothes that people used to wear.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, I remember
the money spent on that.
That this novel was set in the Roaring Twenties. That was a period of very of expansion of the United States economy, and well, here we can find topics such as the American Dream, also the topic of the prohibition, because I remember that in that period of time, alcohol was prohibited, and it deals a lot with this topic because, well, the main character, Gatsby, he's a character that, well, makes part to carry on the American dream, yes, through the resources he had in this period, which were the prohibition of alcohol, and he becomes rich. He gets the American dream by
selling alcohol in bars, but not in public, but in a cover.
So in some way we can find reflected all these socio-economical aspects through these symbolic aspects of the novel.
I agree with you because, for example, when Nick, the narrator of the story, is Nick, I think is the cousin of Daisy, the girl that the Great Gatsby is in love, and Nick tries to reach the American dream, but he's working in a normal factory, but in the other hand we have Gatsby, the one that is increasing his wealth by doing this kind of
taking profit of the prohibition issue
business that is not allowed in the Roaring Twenties.
And I also remember that in fact we dealt with a lot of novels. I remember that we dealt with novels such as Washington Square, Apocalypse Now and Heart of Darkness, Wuthering Heights, and well, many other novels that I cannot remember now. Maybe you remember them because we did the subject short time ago.
Totally. Yeah, and I remember we did the novel of The Grapes of Wrath.
Yes.
And it is about the Great Depression too. Yeah, because it's about a family that has no money to pay the rent for their house, and they have to move to another place, and the place that they move is California, where somebody tells them that there is work there, and finally they discover that there's no work for them.
Yeah, I remember it
You
set
remember?
in the agricultural background,
Yes.
and how after the Great Depression that
Yeah.
took place in the United States,
Mhm.
well, it had a lot of repercussion in the agricultural background, and all the families that worked in the agricultural business uh, found unemployed and had to move all around the
Yeah.
country looking for a job, and how the working conditions were very tough because the agricultural masters in some way took profit of this crisis to to give very low salaries
Yeah.
to the workers and stuff.
Yeah, and I agree with you because also the story is about a difficult journey from Oklahoma to California, and during this journey, the family has to deal with lots of troubles to sleep and to eat, and yeah, and when one of the family members found the job is low paid, and they have to work lots of hours, and then they try to improve their status in life, and finally they to stay
Yeah.
in a
Yeah, also
national
it
park.
reflects a lot the socioeconomical background that took place during this period of time, and and well, I think this is what makes this novel great in some way.
Yes.
And well, what other novel do you remember that we were dealing
Yeah, I
with?
remember the novels of Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre, the ones that took place in the Victorian period, and it was a time where women were really, well, I mean,
Yeah, oppressed
women are oppressed,
by the
yeah,
Victorian
by the Victorian
circumstances, by the
society.
circumstances. Yeah.
Yes, and for example, in the case of Jane Eyre, she's a girl that she's living in a boarding school, and finally she becomes a governess, but she's not the girl that has to be in the Victorian period, because in fact she is an independent woman, you know, and in those times, women had to be humble, had to be well educated, not passionate, and she's the contrary of the stereotype of girl
Yeah,
in those times.
I would say it's one of the first novels that began the feminist movement. I mean, I think it was during the Victorian period that the feminist movement started flourishing.
Yeah,
And,
well,
and, and I think we can see that because while this novel is focused in a feminine character, Jane Eyre, who has to struggle through all her circumstances, and well, this highlights all the patriarchal status that was dominant during that period of time.
yeah, of course, in those times the colonialism was the main issue, and in the novel, she's working for a man whose name is I don't know, Richardson, I think, and well, he's a businessman, and also she wants to show that she's a woman, an independent woman, you know. And finally, what happens is that she wants to be loved, but not be the girl that has to supposed to be,
Yes, I
you
agree
know.
with you, and this is the topics we focus during this subject. And going back to the colonialism and imperialism
Yes.
issue that you mentioned before, I think we also dealt with the novels Apocalypse Now and Heart of Darkness that were indeed based in this topic of colonialism and imperialism. Do you remember these novels?
Yeah, I remember we watched the film of Apocalypse Now, and it was about the main character. He was traveling to finally find a man. Well, it's a colonel whose name is Kurtz, and in fact, this man is trying to avoid all the imperialism forced to be there in Vietnam, I think, and he tried to make like a colony, with the native people, but governed by him. And all this colony was like was to affront the imperialist movement that was trying to colonize Vietnam.
Yes, I agree with you. I think this novel, well, was very similar, and I would dare to say that it was based in the novel Heart of
Heart of
Darkness,
Darkness.
which the main topic is colonialism, and I think that that the novel Apocalypse Now takes colonialism to the next step, which would be imperialism. I think that
Yeah.
Heart of Darkness is based in a more colonial perspective, uh, and Apocalypse Now is based in the modern imperialism, based in the wars that the United States takes in order to take control of areas such as Vietnam, for example, and how the United States intervenes to the different wars in order to take control and take profit of this country.
Yeah, I agree with you. And well, I think we discussed a lot of the novels,
Yes.
novel in English.
I don't know how are we doing with the time because we cannot see now. But yeah, I would say that we already have. But well, I don't know. Uh, just in case we still haven't fulfilled the amount of time, I don't know. We could talk about. I don't know. I think at the end of this subject, we dealt with a novel called The Beat, which was about a group of young people that go to Thailand, yes, to Thailand, and well, it portrays Thailand as some kind of Pharaoh and Cambridge, you know.
It's like an idyllic paradise.
Yes,
you know,
in which the imperial powers, that would be the United States, they use it as a place to go for vacation, and we can see that these young people only go there to, as people here go to Salon and Cambridge, you know, just to have fun,
just to enjoy and have fun.
And enjoy
But
themselves.
finally, what happens there is that a boy, a backpacker, finds a map, and he goes to an idyllic island. And when he arrives there, he finds
Oh yes, I remember, like a group of people, of hippies, and they stay there.
And they live without rules,
Yes.
you know. But finally, these rules turn against him and return to the society.
Yeah, in some way he finds an idyllic society,
but
that in the end finishes up being not so idyllic.
It's not the idyllic society.
And well, yes, we can say that well of these novels that we talked about, well, in some way portray the society in which they were written, and the socioeconomic aspects and well, also, yes.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you very much, and see you in the second version.